Hello, this is Lucy.
And this is Entropy.
Today we're going to be talking about the conspiracy theorists and how insane their theories are.
We hope to be doing a series of videos on this. Today we're going to just center around the big conspiracy that is centered around the Jews. First of all, if you're alive and, breathing and in a Western culture who is familiar with Christendom, you already know that the Jews have been blamed for the crucifixion of Christ. As briefly as possible, let's get into this story. Supposedly, although it's never happened before in history, Pontius Pilate, a Roman governor, and a governor of any Roman province back there had a lot of authority. Supposedly the story goes, and this is from the Bible, that the Roman governor Pontius Pilate was in Jerusalem, a backwater town, if there's any, and happened to be there for the Jewish celebration of the Passover. And the story goes that Pontius Pilate's wife had a dream and told him about it. That is, that you needed to have nothing to do with this person who's going to be in front of you. Of course, this person being Jesus of Nazareth. So, Pontius Pilate, although this has never ever happened in history, a Roman governor asked the Jewish people if he should free a murderer, Barabbas, and have the Christ crucified. And this was the response according to the Bible. These are the Jews responding to Pilate as to whether or not the Christ should be crucified. Matthew 27:25. Then answered all the people, and said, His blood be upon us, and on our children. This verse has been used to justify the persecution, the killing of Jews for the past 2,000 years. And it will be used again. There's a number of anti-Semitic YouTube channels that you can look at, and people will be quoting this verse. They don't take into account that the idea that a Roman governor is asking a bunch of filthy Jews, as far as they were concerned, whether he should, because it was the Passover, free a murderer and have Christ crucified instead. It's ridiculous. Anyone with a brain should figure that out. Was a Christ crucified? Probably. I believe it happened. That there was an actual Christ. Deviate a little bit from Gnostic beliefs in this. But let's just say, if Christ was crucified, it would have been done by the Roman government. And it would have been done by the Roman government because he was a political liability, to say the least. So, here's the justification for the persecution of the Jews that has been going on since there were Christians on this planet.
Well, we know that the Jews have been persecuted for a very long time, even up until modern days. And even now, the Jews are blamed for just about anything today. If it rains, it's a Jew's fault, or if it's bad weather, I should say, it's the Jew's fault.
Many conspiracy theorists and many conspiracy theories revolve around the Jews. The conspiracy theorists get around calling it Jew by simply saying banker, sometimes Zionist, but it's still the same old anti-Semitic thinking, just wrapped up in a different kind of package.
The reason we are doing a video on the Jews, and it's been brought up a few times, is because a lot of these conspiracy theorists and Christians have, our so-called Christians, have lumped us in with the Jews. That we are the Illuminati. We are um, the these agents, for the New World Order. So we are lumped in with the Jews, and so we feel it's necessary to defend the Jews here.
We're told that we're part of this cabal of Gnostic Luciferians. And right now, what's happening is if you call yourself a Gnostic Luciferian, you are going to be persecuted. So keep that in mind, those of you who have any idea that you may yourself want to call yourself a Gnostic Luciferian, because this is what's going to happen to you. They have lumped us in with their concepts of this Jewish conspiracy. We're part of it.
So yeah, basically, not only that we are lumped in with the Jews, but basically the Jews are, as they call, Zionist Jews. But anyways, here's a verse that sort of goes along with this in John 16:2. They shall put out of the synagogue, yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service.
Persecution of the Jews has been going on, as we say, for 2,000 years. And I'm not going to go into detail because that would take so many videos, and there's no purpose for us to go into something that is just common historical knowledge that the Jews have been persecuted. They were treated as second-class citizens in Muslim countries, but they were treated much worse than that in Christian ones.
Well, the Jews have been persecuted longer than 2,000 years, for a very long time. I mean, before the Christians were around, so.
The Kabbalist Gnostic background, the Gnostic background goes back to the Kabbalah even before before the time of Christ. So the root of Gnosticism is really more Jewish than it is Christian. So that again is another reason why we ourselves are more affiliated with the Jews, whether or not we like it. Now, I had to look myself personally at the controlling interest of this world, and Lucifera for some time has been treated by people online as though she were Jewish. So looking at the three powers that be, we're certainly not going to affiliate ourselves with the traditional Christian church. Not saying that there aren't decent, good Christian people out there. Of course there are. We're not going to affiliate ourselves with Muslims. So the affiliation that we already had was there. So we're embracing it now. We really have no choice because we're not in a position, Lucy and I, and most of us out here who call ourselves Gnostic Luciferians, we're not in a position to defend ourselves against the onslaught of attacks that are already coming just, in words, but will be coming later in the very near future in more than just words. Whether you want it to happen or not, unless you choose to keep your mouth shut or to convert openly to Christianity or Muslim or whatever it's going to be in the near future, you are going to be persecuted and killed.
As the Jews have been persecuted, it's interesting they've been able to endure this for such a long time. There's got to be something behind them to get through all this.
And we can look at what they've had to endure as an example for us, for those who call themselves Gnostic or Gnostic Luciferians, or one or the other, or both.
A good example of this too is the story of David and Goliath, how David stands up to a big man and slew Goliath. And so in this sense, the Jews who are small and have endured and had to slay the giant or the system or whatever it may be. In the same case for us who are Gnostic, Luciferians, or whatever else, those of us who are small groups, we have to slay the giant.
The conspiracy crowd who thinks that they are the small minority anymore, they're certainly not the minority here on YouTube. And anyone who listens to our videos knows that the idea that these conspiracy folks are in the minority is just another gimmick that these people like Mark Dice and Alex Jones are using to get people to draw them in and to get them to listen to their nonsense. Whenever they're talking Illuminati, whenever they're talking Freemasons or any of these other things, it is starting to become affiliated with Gnostic Luciferianism. The Freemasons are not Gnostics. The Illuminati is a group that died shortly after they were created in 1776. I mean, was George Washington was a Freemason? Was he? Did he seem Gnostic to you? And of course, many people hear Illuminati and they automatically think Jew bankers. The conspiracy goes with the bankers that are all Jews, of course. The major, many of the major families that have the power on this planet and have banking power are Jewish. That's not a lie. But it's come to such a point that because a few Jewish people who happen to be bankers are in power, then that must relate to all Jews. This is racism. This is anti-Semitism. As we've discussed before in other videos, the Jews were not allowed to even till the soil for a very long time. They were treated worse than second-class citizens in Christian countries during the Middle Ages, and therefore they were pushed into the only avenue that they could to survive, which was banking. And it's only karma, Christians, that they came around, and now it came back and bit you in the ass. Because now they have this authority over the Federal Reserve and all this, the bankers, blah, blah, blah. Folks, you don't have to go to a bank to get a loan. You don't. You don't have to go to a bank to get a loan. And if something turns around and bites you in the ass because you can't pay your mortgage, etc., whose fault is that? Is it the Jews' fault? Everybody wants to blame somebody else. Start looking at yourself in the mirror, folks.
A lot of people just want a boogeyman.
All I see with these conspiracy theorists are a bunch of people blaming everybody else for their own problems. That's not very adult of you.
They even want to blame extraterrestrials and other types of entities. We'll get more into that later.
Yeah, the lizard people, the reptiles. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If someone told me 20 years ago that people were actually going to think that the Queen of England is a reptile who eats babies, I would just laugh out loud at that. It's ridiculous, yet people are saying it as though it's fact, with no evidence. Now, if I were to accuse you of eating a baby, don't you think I should have some evidence of that?
I'll give you one example. I had a Christian accuse me of being a baby killer because I was, being Satanist, or accusing me of being a Satanist and doing all these sacrifices, etc. This is just insane. I mean, the person that doesn't know me outright lies about this. So when you look at these videos on YouTube, you can tell these Christians are deliberately lying.
It's common now for them to come out and just completely bear false witness and say just horrible, outrageous things about people.
they're if you know what they're doing is putting out these videos to get people to believe in this stuff, so that one fine day these people go out and start persecuting us. You're gonna have what is called the reptilian hunts or something, like the witch hunts. We are going to be persecuted and possibly in prison. There's a verse that sort of goes along with this, and we'll put that up as well.
So, here we are. We just really want to give an introduction. Most of the conspiracy theorists and the idea that there's a huge cabal behind the scenes is something that has been around for a while. They're only building on something that's been around, and the blame has always gone back to the Jews. So we thought it was a good place to start. That and the fact that regardless of what we say, regardless of what Lucifera has been saying over and over and over again about how she's not Jewish, we finally had put our hands up and said, you know what? If we're going to affiliate ourselves with somebody, it sure as heck ain't going to be the Christians. It's not going to be the Muslims. So we're going to affiliate ourselves with people who actually, at least tangentially, are affiliated with the Gnostics.
And you know what? You never know. I might be Jewish and just might be keeping a secret. Shh, don't tell the Christians that.
Well, you want to get into it. The Israelites weren't all Jewish anyways, and the Israelites were scattered amongst the nations, and I think we discussed this before. But this being our first video, we want to make it short. We'll be discussing, maybe with more detail, the actual conspiracy theorists and what they believe. I'd like to discuss David Icke and the reptilian agenda for a while, and what he bases it on, which is nonsense. So until we do this again, let's end this now, make it as short as possible. We hope that you look forward to a little more in-depth videos to come, and we'll be continuing to discuss the subject of conspiracy theorists and their conspiracy theories. Alright, well, this is Entropy 666 signing out.
And this is the Jewish wife of Entropy 666 signing out.
We will see you later, me and Mrs. 666. Goodbye, have a pleasant evening.